now is officially started the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert Online Conference. I have the pleasure to announce all sessions will start today and tomorrow. Welcome to Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert Online Conference initiatives by Hassan Majhali, Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert 2015 from Saudi Arabia. It is a pleasure to be with this lovely group from all over the world. In these 2 days, we will have everything in this. And this is the timetable for the first day. First day, we will have using Edge in the classroom by Maria. After that, we will have Onenote class notebook by Kalbana Krish Kumar, and the energy of education and flashcard using PowerPoint by Early Lesla Matkot, and OneNote project from Sashita Jita, and the last session for today is Genius Hour in the classroom by Tammy Dunbar from USA. We welcome all of our educators. We will keep this in mind. After that, you must have to know who is the expert you are seeing his presentation. This is Hassan Majhali from Saudi Arabia. Hassan Majhali is a computer science teacher at Besh First Secondary School. Have many training courses, education trainer at Besh Educational Unit, Microsoft Partner and Learning Training Provider, Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert 2015, Certified Trainer from Canada Global Center, Microsoft Certified Educator, Certified Trainer from the Board of International Trainers of America, and I have been represent Saudi Arabia in the Microsoft Innovative Educator Forum 2015, and I have represent Kingdom Saudi Arabia at the Microsoft Educator Exchange at Redmond, Seattle, USA. The other educator is Muhammad Diab Khattab, Egyptian from Qatar. He is an Egyptian teacher. He is teaching in Qatar. This is all about him. And other educators. Kuon Timers. He will be one of our presenters tomorrow. Francisco Tabi from Brazil. Tammy Dunbar from USA. Sashita Jita. And Early Isola Matkot from Philippines. And Maria Petreska from Macedonia, and Kalbana Krish Kumar from Dar es Salaam, Brunei, and Rachel Shiznol from New Zealand. This is all our presenter for this conference for 2 days. We have a great expert, and we will start with you today with Maria for the first session after 1 minute. We are welcome all of you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm really sorry because I couldn't adjust the screen sharing, so I had to prepare slides on what I'm going to present. And here are my slides. So I'm presenting Microsoft Edge today, and the idea of using Microsoft Edge came to me on one lesson when I had a couple of students.
Welcome, Maria, again.
The idea of using Microsoft Edge came to me when I saw that different students were at different levels in my classroom. So most classrooms in Macedonia and in the world are created so that students are put in a different classroom according to their age, not according to their level of knowledge of a different subject. So students can be at different levels in different subjects. Microsoft has created many tools that can help us teachers to make teaching more individual, more personalized, like OneNote class notebook and Office 365 groups where you can create small groups of students that are the same levels, though they might not be in the same class. Office Mix and Snip for creating video instructions and multimedia presentations, and Sway for interactive presentations. But when I share all this information with teachers and authorities, the first question that comes to their mind is how much time do I need to create these kinds of instructions and materials? And if you're familiar with all these tools, you would know that creating a OneNote class notebook, the content of OneNote class notebook for one lesson may take you 10 to 15 minutes. Creating a mix can take you 10 to 15 minutes. A mix, well, might take you less than 5 minutes. But what about creating instructions that, let's say, can be less than 2 to 3 minutes? In my class, a couple of days ago, I was teaching reported speech, and two very bright students stopped at the middle of the lesson, said they had finished all their assignments, they watched their mix, they went through the content of their OneNote class notebook, and they wanted to play Minecraft because they finished earlier. What I had to do was I had to find something on the internet very quickly and share it with them so that they won't be bored for the rest of the lesson. What I found was this this site where I found instructions how they can make indirect questions. And the first thought on my mind was, okay, I will share this site with them. They can read through instructions, and they can think of questions from the real world and try to make indirect questions. But when I saw this page, the first thing that I saw was the Facebook share and the Twitter share and all the distractions from the sites. So if I gave this site to my students, if I shared it like this, they'd be distracted and their mind wouldn't be on doing the exercise. They would probably think on Facebook. So using Edge and Read View on the right bottom corner of the Edge browser, you have a read view, and if you click on that read view, what happens is it puts the text of the article of the website into the center of the center of what you're reading. So all the distractions are gone. Further, I wanted to give them more instructions on what they should do and how they should do it, how they should go through the article, what they should read, and what are the main points of the article. So if you go to those three dots, you can adjust the read view into default light, medium, and dark. You probably all know this. So this is what the light view is, and the dark. And you can also the font size of the article you're reading to medium and large font and small. So what I was talking about was the leaving web notes on my article that I found that I wanted my students to read. So I opened the web notes, and when you open the web notes, the first thing you notice are well, the pen, then the highlighter, the eraser, comments, and screenshots taker. You can see that you can save all your notes and share the notes. Well, what I did on this lesson, well, I first underlined the main points and I scribbled on the article so that they can see what is the most important thing they should pay attention while reading the article. I also highlighted the phrases or the indirect questions that they can use. And at the end, I left comments on some points of the article, like notice that you have to use if in the indirect questions, if it's a yes-no direct question, and think of an example of questions and make indirect questions. I didn't want them to go online. What I wanted them to do was find this article inside their OneNote notebooks. So what I used for sharing was Note, and I put the article, if you can see this, I'll try to mark it. I put the article inside the content library in their extra work content in the OneNote notebook that I call extra work in the content library. So here it is inside the content library, my article with all the notes and the extra information that I left for them. At the same time, I noticed that a student had difficulties doing indirect sentences because he could not remember the tenses, and what I shared with him was mind map we have created in a previous lesson, where we talk about different tenses and the forms of different tenses. But this as an information was not enough. Okay, this as information was not enough for him, so I needed web notes to add some additional information. I underlined some of the main points, like using ing in the present continuous and the past continuous tense, and I underlined the auxiliary verbs in the present continuous and past continuous tense. I also highlighted yes and ded in present simple and past simple tense. I scribbled over, showing him that present continuous turns into past continuous and present simple turns into past simple. I commented with an example in both tenses. So I didn't want the rest of the class to know that he was having difficulty with his exercises. So what I did was, well, I shared it with him, but using mail. He's already in my Office 365, and I know his mail. I just shared it, and here it is. I sent it to him. Another variation is sending this web note to his notebook. So here it is, his notebook, in the handouts, so no one could see. You know that in OneNote Notebook, class notebook, the student notebooks are only visible for them and the teacher. So I sent it to the handouts, his handouts. And here it is. Another use of Microsoft Edge is the one thing that I love using inside my classroom is I love using this newsfeed. My students need to read a lot, and in the newsfeed we can find a lot of interesting articles that are up to date, and most of the text inside our textbooks are not so up to date, so our books are older than, let's say, they can be 5 to 10 years old. So last week I found this interesting article about a student who was taking a journey through 2 countries to go to school. But using these kinds of articles is very risky for me because inside the article there might be a lot of unfamiliar words. So the first thing to do was naturally go to review, because I don't want all the distractions. And well, in this article we had one unfamiliar word, and that was misconception. If you select the word and you click on the right click, you can ask Cortana about the meaning of the word. So as you can see on the right side, Cortana gives you the meaning of the word, a synonym of the word, also the word used in a sentence, and my students can also hear how you can pronounce misconception. So thank you. That was all for me.
Edge browser. Thank you again. It is very, very lovely to use Edge browser to and the reading without pictures, without distraction, to have a very good reading journey. I hear you.
Okay. All right. Sorry, as usual, my laptop lapsed.
No problem. No.
And as Asin said, I'm from Brunei. I hope my voice is quite audible. Right. So today I'm going to share about OneNote Class Notebook. So you all know that it is one of the most important apps we have, and it is quite useful for teachers. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Kalban.
Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you. So, as we all know that OneNote Class Notebook is quite important for teachers, and for example, in our school, it is quite mandatory. From next year onwards, we are going to bring it compulsory for teachers to use OneNote Class Notebook. So, what is OneNote Class Notebook? As you all know that it is one of the breakthrough Microsoft to help teachers or empower teachers. So here you have the advantages where you can get the Note Class Notebook app, that is the SharePoint app from your Office 365 account. And then some of the important advantages that you have is it is quite accessible by you can use any device, any platform, use this app. Another important thing is it is very easy to collaborate with the students, and especially you can provide feedback through text, audio, or video, and it allows you to stay connected with them. And to be honest, it provides a real-time individualized coaching with the students. So I have also provided a few links. There is a video that says what OneNote Class Notebook is. And then I also provided some support, some websites and other links that you can find here as resources. So apart from this, how I used OneNote Class Notebook is used it is here you can see my Office 365 page. You can find the icon, that is my IT admin was able to install it for teachers, and once you click OneNote Class Notebook, it allows you, it takes you to the next page. You can see this slide, And then what you find is 4 important files. That is, one is create class notebook, another one is add new students, add another teacher, and get notebook links. Now there are some changes that has been brought up. So instead of add students, remove students, add another teacher or remove teacher, and you can find get notebook links. So what you have to do is click create a class notebook. And then in this slide, you can find that there is a to type your class name. For example, here for sample, I just type year 1 red. And then you gotta click next button, and it takes you to the next page. On your left-hand side, you can find 5 important titles. Notebook overview, where it allows the 3 important sections of class notebook. First one is the collaboration space. It allows you to interact with all your students. Second thing is the content library, where we teachers provide ample resources for the students, also provide worksheets for them to work on. And then the last one is the student notebooks, where we can go through each and every student's work. Especially you can monitor them, how they are progressing, everything. And in the next slide, you can also see that you can add another teacher and allow them to use this class notebook. Especially this option will provide we call a collaboration among teachers to share this class notebook and create interdisciplinary activities. For example, my notebooks are shared with the computer department and with the commerce department. So it is easy for them to provide more resources for the students, and it really helps them to use it as a digital notebook. Exactly, that is what one notebook means. And here in the next slide, what you find is add student's name. Since my students also belong to this Office 365 and we have their, I have their group, email group, what I do is just type their name. Automatically, it helps me get the student's email address. For example, since I said it is a class notebook, what I normally do is I type the student's name in a, what do you call this, notepad, and I copy and paste it here in this section. So it allows, automatically it guesses the student's name and get you the email address. So it really helps the teachers to save a lot of time. And in the next one, you can find 4 important sections where you can find handouts, class notes, homework, and quizzes. For example, if for certain teachers, they want some more exercises, some more sections, for them you have, you can see the plus icon along with the title add more. They can add as many sections as they want. So at the end, what you have to do is you have to click the next button, and what you can find is your class notebook has been created. So in the previous section, it allows you to have a glimpse of what your class notebook is about and how does it look. And the last one is setting up your OneNote class notebook. And in the end, you can find the link of your notebook. Sometimes for certain students, they would have lost. They are not, for example, they forget an email address it is quite common. So what I do is I do share this link in my students, in my class Facebook page, and also in their WhatsApp messages. So they have the link and they can easily access their class notebook using any of their device. Apart from that, once it is done, you can find all my notebooks here. Some of the links you can You can see in this print screen in this slide. And overall, in the first page itself, when your notebook is done, what you see is the welcome thing and along with the three important sections of your class notebook: content library, student's notebook, and your collaboration space. Collaboration space allows you to interact more freely with the students, and you can provide personalized coaching. And these are also some of my notebooks that for some cases, some of the parents request me, teacher, why don't you share the resources with me so that I can really provide some more support to my child, because he has the habit of using his password, something like that. In that case, I do provide my link to the parents. And the next slide, you can find this. You can create as many notebooks as you want. What I would suggest, or what I am doing, is for one class, I have one notebook. So in that way, it really helps me get connected with the students, and it is very easy for me to organize my content, organize my worksheet, everything very effectively. For example, here is one of my some example of my class 1 notebook. So you can see that I'm not able to screen share because I'm using my husband's laptop. So here you can find some of the students' notebook here. And then the most important thing is, in this slide, you can see that in one class notebook, year 8A notebook, I'm having almost more than 35 students. So whatever I share in the content library, that is basically quizzes, everything, students are able to copy it from the content library, and automatically they are able to do their work. For example, this is my worksheets so far that I have posted until October. So you can see that there are also certain sections like Team 1, Team 2, something like that. When I prepare worksheets, I do prepare the answer key as well. The answer key is password protected, as you all know how to use the password for that. So once the deadline is over, I remove the password so that they are able to access the answer key, and also they can check the answers. Sometimes they are very curious to know the answers immediately after the deadline. So also in the next slide, you can find that in the previous slide, you can find that the students, basically what they do is they just copy the worksheet and paste it here and highlight their answers. That is the simple thing they have to do. I also encourage them to provide a lot of videos. For example, when I was doing this climate change website and the sways with them, I was able to use the collaboration space very effectively because it is a group project. We're able to interact with the teachers very, very effectively. So on the whole, what I see, what I hear from other teachers from my school, and from my personal experience, is that it's totally very useful for teachers. And I think that's all I have today. You guys, are there any questions? No?
Thank you. You can, yes. Thank you very much. This is a great OneNote class notebook. It is a great program.
Hello, Robert, can you hear me?
Yes. He can hear you. Yes, he can hear you.
Yeah. What's the question? Miss Karina.
Yes, the question is if he deletes student names, it is still in the class notebook. He asked this question.
Yes, sir, but I always prefer in that way, because whatever I post, especially the worksheet, the quizzes, everything, sometimes I encourage them to copy it from their content library. Sometimes that is according to their level. For example, some of my students are quite brilliant. They are in the express level. Whereas some students, they are not, they are a bit of what you call, I don't want to label them, they are low achievers. So for them, I post different type of questions in their own notebook. So in that way, it really helps me be motivate them and encourage them to work along with the other students. So basically what I do is I post it in the content library. As a teacher, I know who are the students who will be able to do and who are the students who won't be able to answer certain type of questions. So I do prepare two types of questions to encourage the average students and the low average students. That is also such a good thing. Actually, what you say is the teacher sends the document to the student and they can work on it. Of course, yes. But for example, if we are going to do this, I think something like the HP classroom management, or earlier we have so many third-party softwares that do the same thing. Especially with HP, we have called the HP Classroom Management, and there are so many other third-party tools that allows you to share the document, and the students will work on the devices in the computer lab or basically in the computer lab. So the main advantage of having a class notebook is they are able to access it anytime and in any device, and then they can work at their own pace. And this is why I basically prefer class notebook. That all?
That's all. If there is any question, she will answer all of it.
Okay, I would prefer to say thanks one more time to Hassan and other MIs. It is a great opportunity. And
Thank you.
I would be leaving the session as well because it's quite late for me. Tomorrow I have to submit work. Right?
Thank you, Kalbana. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Now we have early. You can start now. It is 6 p.m. Arab Standard Time.
Can I start?
Yes, you can start now.
Okay, greetings to all educators in this online conference. I am Erliza Natapot, so commonly known as Early in our group. So I am Microsoft's innovative education expert and at the same time Microsoft's education ambassador in the Philippines. I am also one of the selected energy campers who developed the energy education flashcards in the Philippines or in our country. And with this, I am going to present the education flashcards that we had developed in our country. These flashcards are learning resource materials that we had made using PowerPoint. So we choose PowerPoint in developing our resource materials. So I hope that after this short and simple presentation, I can encourage you also to develop your own flashcards for your students and that you can also contribute in the learning materials in your own workplace. So for the background information, according to this study, Philippines is the second most disaster-prone country in Asia. So we are always visited by the different calamities like typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and we also experience different volcanic eruptions. So if these calamities happen in our country, schools became the evacuation centers of different affected families. So there are some disruptions of classes for a week of two because we use these schools as evacuation centers. So of course the tendency is that the students are not able to attend the class or to study. So because of this, One Meralco Foundation, together with the Coalition for Better Education and Department of Education in our country, the slides are not open. Wait for a while. Can you
Yes.
still hear me?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, so because of this, One Meralco Foundation, together with Coalition for Better Education, so these are non-government organizations. Then together with the Department of Education in our country, top 37 educators, of course, including me, who will develop learning resource materials that can be deployed to the stricken areas. And aside from that, the purpose of these flashcards is to increase the number of learning resource materials that can be used in our K-12 curriculum. So why PowerPoint? Why do we choose PowerPoint? Because we believe that PowerPoint is the teacher-friendly tool that, of course, can be used by different educators, right? So then most of the educators know how to use the PowerPoint, and it can also be used offline. Then, so we use this tool in developing our cards. So this is, I am just giving the background information why we had this education flashcard. So moving forward, the flashcards contain the flashcards contain of the knowledge cards, the do or activity cards, and the project-based learning cards. So we focus on these three, the knowledge cards, the do or activity cards, and the project-based learning cards. The education flashcards that we also developed are aligned in the different standards. So we have here the standard alignment. Then let's say we align this in the different learning areas like English, mathematics, science and technology, and Filipino, social studies, physical education, health, music, values education, PLE, or technology and livelihood education. So aside from these different learning areas, we also aligned our cards in the next generation science standards. Then, of course, the most important alignment should be the 21st century learning skill standards. Then, our flashcards also reflect the UNESCO's 4 pillars of education. I know that all educators in the different parts of the world know these 4 pillars of education. So that the students should know, learn to, so we should have these, learn to do, to know, to be, and to live together. So our flashcards should reflect these 4 pillars of education. Okay, so now, how the cards look like or how we design the cards. Shall I continue? Can you still hear?
Yes,
Okay, so
continue, yes.
we are now here with our flashcards. I am going to introduce to you first the knowledge cards. So this is the example of our knowledge card. So knowledge card should measure the ability of students to understand concepts and apply these concepts in real life situations. So as you can see in this card, we have here the different content. Like we have here the electricity, which is the topic. of the card. Then G8 represents the grade level. These questions are good for grade 8 students. Then the question, example, what gives light to a fluorescent lamp? So questions can be the WH questions, wherein you can develop the these are the HATS questions or knowledge building questions. Then aside from the WH questions, you can also have the true or false, then the multiple choice. Then we have here K below the card. We have here K, which represents the know or learning to know or yes, learning to know. So this is the example of UNESCO's four pillars of education. Then we also have here the standard alignments, wherein we included the different learning competencies coming from our own curriculum. Then the list coming from the 21st century 21st century skills, then the HS and the TS coming from the next gen science standard. Then for next content of the knowledge card, of course, if we have here the question, you should also have the slide or the card for the answer. So this is the example. So let's say, going back to the question, what gives light to a fluorescent lamp? Then of course the answer is electricity. Then as you can see, after the answer, we have here now the different alignments in different core subjects, wherein the question is for science subject only. The different alignment in core subjects are science, of course, English, and mathematics. So let's say for English, I will read the given example of alignment. The stress or accent in the word electricity is found on its third syllable, electricity. So with this example, the students do not only learn the question from your science subject, but aside from that, you can also integrate another subject areas wherein they can learn other subject areas. Then, of course, do not forget to include the UNESCO's four pillar of education and some of the standard alignments. So this is how we design or develop our knowledge board. So all in all, we developed 130 knowledge boards that can be distributed in our country. And now we are training other teachers on how to design or how to develop their own flashcards so that they can also own flashcards in their own workplace. Okay, so do you have any question with these knowledge cards? I think it's really easy to do, but of course the hard part of this is that you need to include the different integrations or these are the hardest part that you need to know or to notice or to recall. Okay, so next. Next, we have here the do cards. For the do cards or the activity cards, these are just the simple enhancements, learning activities related to the content cards that students can do either teams or individually at home or in school for a short period of time, because these are just activities or do cards. Then this can be in the form of simple experiments, observations, activities, or games, then web quests, scavenger hunts, etc. So in the door activity cards, again, like in the knowledge cards, we have here the topic, which is electricity. G8 represents for the grade level. Then we have here the title, which is for picks one word. Then the description of the activity. So you need to give the description of your activity card. So how the students will play your card. And of course, do not forget the alignments and the core subjects. So what are the other subjects that can be learned using your activity or two cards? Okay, so this is the first part of the activity card, the title, including the description. Then after this, you can now have your activity or experiment game. So this is the example. Again, in the first slide of the activity card, we have here the title of the activity and the description. Then after that, you can proceed now to the activity or experiments or your game. Then the last part of the activity cards are, of course, the answer key or the hints. Okay, so this in our country, we develop many activity cards and do cards here. So again, we are training other educators or teachers here in our country on how to develop these cards and how to give these cards to their students. And as I said a while ago, I am just going to give a simple and short presentation of my topic. I am now in the last card, in the last flashcards, which is the project-based learning cards. So I know that most of you already know how to design PBL or project-based learning cards. Am I correct? Okay. Okay. So the project-based learning cards are the performance or product-based set of activities that translate concepts learned in the classroom into real-life situation by solving problems or issues in real life. So that's why we, as you can see, with NAM of Vietnam, we have our global collaboration project, PBL, or project-based learning about traffic safety and how to protect the environment. So in our country, we are also giving different project-based learning activities to the students. So part of our education flashcards was to develop different PBL or project-based learning cards. So same with the knowledge cards and activity cards. In this card, we have here the topic, which is electricity again, G8 for grade level or grade 8 students. Then title of the PBL or the project-based learning. So I have here the example, the power of lab, meaning to say laboratory. So then description of the PBL, so a project-based learning activity on how to set up a laboratory exhibit on science concepts. Below, we have here another standard alignment and the core subject. So this is the first content of the PBL part. Next, after the title and the description, we have here the situation or scenario. So you're going to give this to your students. So let's say in preparation for the Science Month celebration, the head teacher of the science department called for a meeting for all club presidents. She discussed the different activities to be held in the months-long celebration. One of these is a laboratory exhibit of selected science concepts. So this is now the situation or scenario that the students should see in your PBL card. Then after this scenario, you can now give the different tasks to your students. So let's say you are two, or your tasks are, we have here the first task, research on the following electrical concepts, circuits, breakers. So they have the different tasks to be done. So create, assemble models or examples of the above devices. So these are the different examples of the task. Then test the sample device to find out if it works or not. Then number 11, you have 3 weeks to do the above test. So you can also give the time or the schedule of the PBL or the project-based learning that they are going to do. Aside from this task, we also have the role of the students. So you should also design this. So what should be the role of the students? So the role of the students should be based, of course, to your task, right? So for the role of the students, we should have the data miners. So they are the researchers. So research on electrical safety devices, exhibit organizers, because as you can see in the description of this PBL, they should have to set up a laboratory exhibit of science concepts. So their role is, one of the roles are to be exhibit organizers. So the roles of the students should be placed in this PBL card. Then aside from that, the expected output should be seen by the students also. So what are the different outputs in my given PBL card? We have the research report on electrical safety devices, assembled electrical safety devices, exhibit area, etc. So these are the things that you should see to your students. Then, of course, if you are giving activities to your students or projects to your students, the students should see your rubrics, right? So you are going to give the different rubrics based on the different tasks that you have given. Let's say we have here the different tasks. So this task should also have the different rubrics or assessments on how the students should work, or how are you going to assess your students. And then, okay, so I'm done with I'm done now with the different cards. Again, in the education flashcards, we have 3 cards: the knowledge cards, the do or the activity cards, and the project-based learning cards. So aside from this, we also develop the teachers and students guides. So these are the examples. So in the teachers and student guides, it contains the general instructions to teachers and students. What are the different prerequisites, activities, or preparations before, and what are the different materials and equipment or resources that the students and teachers should be prepared. Okay, then of course, in the teachers and students guide, you should have also the assessment guide. Any question with this presentation? Hello?
Great presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so
yes, we can hear you.
okay, so I am just I am just sharing with you the education flashcards that we developed in my country. So I believe that these flashcards can also be adopted in your own workplace and be given to your students anytime. So again, as a background that I given a while ago, we had these flashcards. The first intention was to deploy these flashcards for the calamity-stricken areas, but because of its success, because of its good outcome in our country, we are now training the different educators or different teachers in our country on how to develop these flashcards so that the teachers can also produce their own, even they are in their own workplace or school. And And now, I'm happy to inform you that we are now partnering in the National Energy Education Development in the United States of America, and we are helping each other to develop more learning materials on education cards or flashcards, and as well as making students, teachers, and schools in the Philippines and in the USA to collaborate and help each other. So we are now collaborating in the USA on how to develop these flashcards. So um, I also want to share this with Cohen so that I can also develop flashcards for the Kuma refugees. So
With you now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Well, hello.
Yes.
Let me load up my my presentation.
Yes, we're glad to hear you.
Greetings and good morning, everyone. Wonderful to have you here, and thank you for inviting me. I think it may take a moment. How has it been going? Tell me.
Yes, it is very good. Ask them.
Yes, tell me how it's been going. I can see what you're writing in chat. I just have a spinning wheel as I'm waiting to upload my PowerPoint.
Do your best. No, there's no rush for that.
It's taking its sweet time. Okay, well, thank you. This is the first half, so I will have to upload the second half as I get to the end, yes?
Yes.
So thank you for having me. Thank you for your patience. My name is Tammy Dunbar, and I live in the United States. I am from the west coast of the United States. We call it the left coast for obvious reasons, in the great state of California. And if you take a look at the red star, you will see where my city is located, and the city is named Manteca. In Manteca Unified School District, we have more than 30,000 students and about 1,200 teachers. We are a one-to-one device district, which means that every student in our district has a Panasonic 3E device.
Great.
And just so you know, I am about 75 miles due east of San Francisco. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Genius Hour. And as you can see below, I am Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. I'm certified or certifiable, and I'm very pleased to be with you today to give you some background on Genius Hour. When I talk about Genius Hour, I like to tell people how it all started, because it did not start in the classroom. It started with a company called 3E, or 3M, and you're probably familiar with the company because they produce Post-it notes. Post-it notes came about directly because of Genius Hour. Back in the early 1900s, the 3M company wanted to allow their employees to take 20% of their time at work to focus on something that they found interesting that might benefit the 3M company. There was a gentleman there who sang in his church choir, and he kept pieces of paper in his hymnal to mark the places where the songs were. But the pieces of paper kept falling out of his book. And the gentleman happened to work for 3M. So during his genius time, he discovered and developed Post-it notes, little handy pieces of paper that can stick into your church book and your hymnal, and they won't fall out, but they also won't mess up the page. So flash forward to 2011, when inspirational educational speaker Angela Myers was out speaking, and she floated the idea of, why shouldn't we unleash Genius Hour in school? And so she inspired 4 teachers who 2 years later, in 2013, wrote the Genius Hour Manifesto. It was written by 4 teachers. You can see their names down below, and you can also find it in their book, The Best and Next in Education. And From there on, it kind of exploded. The question is, what will your students learn following their passion? So when I introduced Genius Hour, and this is the 3rd year we've been doing it in my classroom, I like to set my students up and get them excited by telling them, look, every day you come into class and I tell you what we're going to study. What if you got the opportunity to learn about something that you wanted to learn about? Well, that gets them really excited. And so I introduced Genius Hour and advised them that Genius Hour has 3 rules. The first rule of Genius Hour is that the topic must be approved by the teacher. And the second rule of Genius Hour is that the topic must involve research or skill building or problem solving. And then lastly, I see that's where I stopped. And then lastly, in Genius Hour, the final project must be presented formally to the classroom. Aha. So I see that my second file is too big, so I'm going to keep talking while I split it up. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
I'm going to assume it is. Okay. So after I give my students those directions, then it's time for us to go out and do a little exploring. So the students, I also, by the way, have to get families involved in this. If families aren't involved, you're not going to have the buy-in that you want. So I always make sure that I have sent a note home and that I have let families know. Matter of fact, we're in conference week right now at my school. And so when the parents come in face-to-face with me, I make certain that they get the letter. It's in their hot little hands, so parents are familiar with what we're doing. Explain to them what exactly we are doing. So here we go. So parents, the nice thing about Genius Hour is it can take place only in the classroom, but I find that it's much more beneficial if it takes place at home as well, because you want students to be engaged and you want their families to buy into it as well. Okay, so what does it look like in the classroom? Good question. Hopefully this file will load. Nope, file's not going to load. So I'm just going to tell you what it looks like in the classroom. In the classroom, you have to be ready, because Genius Hour doesn't look like regular learning. I mean, it's obviously learning. But Genius Hour has students, I have flexible seating in my classroom. So I have students who are sitting in strange places. I have students who are sitting underneath desks. I have students who are reading books on stools, all over the classroom, and working very hard on researching. It's amazing to me how much students will put effort into something when it's something that they are excited about. When they have a buy-in, then it seems to me that they really want to work hard. So moving along, since it's not allowing me to load up, I'm just going to continue talking. So I was very excited in my last 2 years because I had students who came up with such projects as, I don't know if you've ever seen the little rubber band bracelets that a lot of the young girls are enjoying making. I had a student who loved making rubber band bracelets. And so she wanted to explore whether or not she could create something that was a little different. So after about, I think it took her 3 months, she, out of rubber bands, made a cellular phone case cover, excuse me, and she made a purse that actually folded over and buttoned up. Absolutely adorable. And she was so excited that she went onto YouTube and created a video to share with, I had another student who wanted to recreate an experiment that Albert Einstein had done, which, as you all can imagine, is pretty heady stuff, pretty hard to do. So it took him 2.5 months to find a book on Amazon that had an experiment he wanted to try, that he felt he could recreate. So we got the book for him, and he did the experiment. And this is a student who normally wasn't very verbal. He didn't like being in front of the class, but this experiment was very exciting. It was an experiment on quality of light, on fluorescent lights, and why fluorescent light is better than regular lights. And when he did the experiment in front of the class using a document reader, the oohs and ahs from the students were proof for me that Genius Hour was not only great for teaching students, but it had brought this particular presenting student out of his shell, which was very exciting. I had another student who was very excited about astronauts. She was a student who was in a research, and so she worked with her one-to-one aide to combine her love of astronauts, believe this or not, with a love of paper mache. Maria will appreciate this. And so she paper mached an astronaut. Took her about 2.5 months. Genius Hour is not a short-term project. It's basically a full year from start to finish. And when she was done, and if I could upload this, I would love to show it to you, but my uploading isn't working. I'm assuming you still hear me, yes? Type to me if you
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay, great. It's not letting me upload anymore, so I'm just going to keep talking. She paper mached her wonderful little astronaut 2.5 months using a vacuum cleaner hose, and if it would come up, you would find it absolutely delightful. So what I like about Genius Hour is that it allows students to gain confidence. It allows students to feel good about themselves. And it allows students to realize that they have some gifts and abilities and talents that should be shared. And I've often asked if there is something that can be done from any grade level. And the short answer is yes. We have, last year we had a kindergarten class come in. We are a 5th grade class. And the kindergartners came in so we could read to them. Oh, a lot of times, I'm sure other schools of the world do this, so the big kids read to the little kids. But while we were reading to them, one of my students was talking to the kindergartner about her Genius Hour project. And so when they got back to the kindergarten classroom, the little kindergarten student said, well, gee, kindergarten teacher, why can't we do Genius Hour? And so his teacher said, well, what would you want to do? And he said, well, I am always wondering why we have to use water from the tap to water the plants in the classroom. Why can't we use rainwater and go out and capture that? And so his teacher said, that's a good question. So if my slides were working, you would see a picture of this wonderful kindergarten student who collected the rainwater on his own and is watering a plant in my room with the rainwater. So Genius Hour works for any grade level. The idea is they find something they're passionate about, and because they're so passionate about it, they will automatically go out and research and work harder to find out answers. Now, a new element to Genius Hour is Angela Myers, we're going back to her, has just come out with a new ebook called Liberating Genius. It's on her website, choose2matter.org/liberating genius. And I will email that to Hassan so he can share it. In Liberating Genius, the ebook is in a OneNote format. And she has it split up into 20 lessons. And these are not lessons that will will be Genius Hour lessons. These are lessons that are walk-up lessons to Genius Hour. They prepare the students to start thinking in the right ways to get them to a place where they can actually start hour. In my last 2 years, I kind of had to create my own, cheerleader, rah-rah, let's go Genius Hour to get them going. But Angela's lessons not only allow students to start looking at their own genius, but it starts talking to them about what's important to you and what's in your heart, that what do you think about when you make decisions. And it's all this wonderful character building that gets the kids enthusiastic, and it's broken up into 3 sections. The first 7 days are called Accepting Your Genius. So it's a lot of reflection and introspection for the students, which we've gone through 10 lessons right now, and the change in my students has been phenomenal. The second part of her walk-up lessons are called Accelerating Your Genius, and that takes the students through a walk on a website called Thrively, where they take a strength assessment and answer a series of questions, and at the end, the website gives the students some ideas of, here are 5 areas where you are strong, and here are 3 that you might consider having a career. And here's a short narrative, usually 2 or 3 paragraphs, about the kind of person you are. And it's so positive and so uplifting that the mood in my classroom right now, just after 10 of these lessons, has been phenomenal. Right now, in my classroom, and again, I wish you could see the picture, but we have a giant picture of Albert Einstein, but his hair is made up of little white Post-it notes where each student has written down what he or she thinks their inner genius may be. And that's the very first day of our lessons. And by the end, we hope to see how much they've grown to thinking about what they're. Now, the interesting growth from this, as I mentioned earlier, that we went to kindergarten classes and read to them. Well, this year, excuse me, because we are a one-to-one district, there was a new kindergarten teacher who was a bit overwhelmed and did not know how to teach 24 students how to log into their devices. And so I said, my class will come in and we'll be your kinder tech buddies, and we'll model for them. We'll have short lessons, here's how you carry your device, here's how you log into your device. Excuse me. And after about 4 lessons, we started into the Liberating Genius lessons from Angela Myers in my classroom. Well, my students said, Mrs. Dunbar, we love going to kinder tech buddies, but can't we teach them to find their genius? So again, wishing you could see the pictures, we developed lessons for our kinder tech buddies to discover their genius. And so we went in the first time, actually it was our 5th visit, but it was the first time for genius. And the students, as they were carrying the devices to the kinder's desk and logging in, they were talking to their kinder tech buddies about, what are you passionate about? What gets you excited? What do you want to be when you grow up? And together, the 5th grader and the kindergartner, the pairs, created a PowerPoint slide that said, for example, if it was Jose's genius is being a dentist. And so they illustrated it, and then I took pictures of all the students, very proudly showed up what they wanted to be when they grew up. The next time we went in, we had heart maps, which is one of the things that Angela has in her Liberating Genius. And with our kinder tech buddies, we talked about what's in their heart. So suddenly, my 5th graders, just through these Genius Hour lessons, have not only found their inner genius, but they're going into a kindergarten class, and instead of just being the big kids who come in and read to us and stuff, they're now walking into that as mentors, as role models, and as teachers, which gives them an enormous sense of pride. What I've also noticed about Genius Hour in my classroom is that it affects the way students think about others and not just themselves. Because once you've spent time reflecting on yourself, then you kind of start looking out for what other people have and their genius. And there are a couple of lessons in Angela's Liberating Genius that allow students to tell the other students, their fellow students, what they think their genius is and what their qualities and their strengths and their skills are. So what I'm finding in my classroom now is that students are more encouraging. I have less bullying, and I don't have any bullying right now. I have students who are engaged in what they do. I have one little student who has taken a little whiteboard, and I didn't know who it was the first 5 days, and she would just write the words, "You matter," which is Angela's messages, and she would place the whiteboard in certain places around the classroom. It would appear and disappear throughout the day, and so it's kind of exciting that she's been spreading that message. And then the most recent thing that's happened in my classroom because of Genius Hour, because of all this thinking about what is our genius, we were invited to participate in World Wonder Day, which is a global project where we're using our skills to brainstorm world hunger, and basically tying it in with the canned food drives that many places do to help the hungry this time of year. And so my students, embracing their genius, said, well, we want to help World Wonder Day, but what we wonder is how can we get more cans so we can feed more people? And so my class collectively asked, can we please figure out a way to get more cans? And again, if you can see my screen, an article just appeared in our local newspaper because the students and I wrote a press release and we got the local news involved. Our window faces a main street in our city of Manteca, and there's a big display in our window with big signs saying, "Help us feed Manteca's hungry," and we're stacking the cans in the window. And now that there's an article in the newspaper, people are dropping cans off at our school office, and it's kind of exciting to see how my students, instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, canned food drive, we'll go home," they decided that they could use their genius for better and make a difference in the world. So that is what Genius Hour. And I will leave you with this thought, as Angela Meyer says, you are a genius and the world needs your contribution. That's what I have for today.
Great. Thank you. You have a great presentation and a great idea about.
Thank you. I will, if everybody wants to send me an email, my email is tdunbar, DUNBAR, at musd.net. And Hassan has my email. I will send you I'll put it in a OneDrive, and then I'll send everyone a sharing link so you can see the presentation, and I'll have my email as well. Be sure that you go to get Angela's free ebook. The lessons are amazing. I'm right now working on going through them, and there'll be a blog coming out from Microsoft soon on what my class has been doing using Angela's book in our class. So be looking for that as well. And peace to all of my friends around the globe. It's been a pleasure, and thank you, Hassan, for the honor of presenting.
I worked with the collaboration of a teacher and his student. The project is about promoting the use of technology to effectively teach Asian languages. Now I will move on to the OneNote Notebook. So this is the OneNote Notebook I created for the class teacher. I should add that all the work in this notebook has been done by the student. She actually helped her teacher as he is partially paralyzed. The teacher is 60 years old, and a few years ago he got a stroke, and now he cannot fully use half of his body. However, he has always wanted to integrate ICT in teaching Tamil. Therefore, to make his wish come true, I decided to help him. We started by giving a training to the student. I was really amazed to see that it took only 5 minutes for the child to learn how to use the graphic tablet and pen, and also some features in OneNote. We don't have Surface Pro, therefore we manage with technologies we already had. I bought my graphic tablet with pen at school, and we happily used it, and it was indeed a great success to be able to use technology in some other subject. As you can see, this part shows the different alphabets and drawings the student has practiced before actually she did some exercises. The next class was about Mauritius flag. This was done with OneNote, and this was the first exercise the student did. At the end of this presentation, I will show you a video which depicts the student doing this activity. Later we moved to other exercises which was done by the student itself. As you can see here, she drew all the drawings first and later she saved it for the next class. Where during the next class she filled in the answers, as you can see here. She also created some revision exercises when her class teacher was absent. She came to see me and she said that she would like to use OneNote for revision purposes. So I granted her permission and we started doing the class activities. She also did matching exercises, filling the blanks exercises. So we were very happy to see the progress of the child. One thing I didn't tell you is that the child is only 6 years old. So this part shows the different pictures and video we saved for later use. So these are all the pictures that show the activity the student did. As I told you, in this last part, I will show you a short video I made to show the different, to actually show how the student was doing the activity. So this is a short video I made with all the recordings I had. So I am sorry I had to fast forward the videos so that it could be reduced to around 2 minutes approximately. So here you can see how the student is doing the activity with real ease. She got used to OneNote very quickly, and she indeed loved to use OneNote. So it would be great that if you could choose OneNote to do some activities, not all, but I will add that with OneNote your mind is actually the limit, so you can do anything and everything with OneNote. So I let you watch this video, so a few seconds are left. I am sorry for the background noise. This was shot at school and There are some noise. I'm sorry for that. So this is the graphic tablet I brought to school since I already had it at home. I will end my presentation here, and I hope it has been fruitful to all of you. I would like to thank Hassan for inviting me to share my experience as a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. I would add that dedication, passion, and vision for the future should be of prime importance to all of us. This is actually the path I have set, and which is indeed helping me to move forward. Thank you everybody, and thank you OneNote. You are awesome.